the Wraparound with Grace, Alessia, and Maryuri.
So welcome everybody. This week's episode is very, very special. We have our Stanley Cup Final Special, our very first and hopefully the first of many for you guys to listen to. As you all know, the final is now between the Dallas Stars and the Tampa Bay Lightning. A very exciting series because it's been pretty much back and forth. But we have lots to talk about, lots to say, players to watch, some answers from you, our audience, and let's get started. So we're going to start off with the matchup. As I just stated, it is between the Dallas Stars and the Tampa Bay Lightning. So Tampa is currently leading the series 2-1 after a dominant 5-2 win last night, which was Wednesday. I can't get my days right anymore. So they won last night, and it was a pretty like, I think, one-sided game. I mean, Dallas is always in the running. I think you can't really underestimate them, but I don't know. I think Tampa pretty much got that one locked and loaded. And so there's going to be some important questions that need to be answered. So can Dallas keep their defensive streak going? What does Tampa Bay need to do in order to crack Khudobin? And I'm pretty sure they've already done a little bit of that, but it's only been 3 games. There's still lots of games to go, so they'll need to continue that streak. And then it's an unpredictable matchup. It's hard to predict who will win each game since, like I said, it's been a good back and forth. You can't really, say if Tampa's going to win this one or Dallas is going to win this one. I feel like so far it's pretty even in what they can produce and what they can bring to the table. So it'll be exciting to see how these games go, see if there's any close wins, if there's any big leads, stuff like that. So it'll be exciting to keep on watching the series, especially since we're already pretty much halfway there. Okay, guys. So since I got all of that off my chest, let's go right into the key players to watch. So we're going to start off with Dallas. And first and foremost, we're going to start off with Mr. Anton Khudobin. And we've spoken a lot about him on our show. I think we've pretty much solidified the fact that we do have a little soft spot in our heart, especially for goalies this show. Yeah, we always speak about goalies. So we're going to keep that tradition alive and speak about another one, especially him, because he has been playing incredible for Dallas in the past few series for them. But he has been a little shaky, a little bit rocky, letting lots of goals in against Tampa Bay. So he's let in 9 goals over the last 3 games. Compared to the Vegas series, we only let in 8 over the span of 5 games.
I don't think he's been shaky. I think he's just been a goalie.
And it's also, we're seeing in this series, Dallas making mistakes that they weren't making in the series, like the past series. So last night, I believe they took like 3 penalties in the first 20 minutes. So they need to be more disciplined, and the defense in front of Khudobin has to be way stronger.
Yeah, so essentially, Grace, you can go ahead.
I just think that, last series was incredible, but what was his goals against average? Wasn't it 1 point something?
Yeah,
it was something stupid. Yeah. It was great. And I think that now he's just being an average Stanley Cup final goaltender. I don't think there's much more to say than that. It's not like it's something super incredibly disappointing. But I do think, it would be great if he could be that 1 point something goals against average goaltender. But again, like Alessia said, the team in front of him matters. And if they're playing less now, then that's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, exactly. Dallas is, they're really strong defensively. We've seen guys like Miro Heiskanen lead the way, guys like Klingberg as well. So like Grace said, this is Khudobin, he's been exceptional up until now, and this is normal for a goalie to experience in a Stanley Cup Finals, especially against a team who has offensive players like Braden Point and Kucherov in Tampa Bay. So this is definitely normal to see from Khudobin.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he plays the next couple of games. Maybe if he can just get a little bit more of a spark in himself to kind of, keep on going, keep the series alive, and hopefully he does get that backup from his defenseman because, he can't do it all alone. Not all of the blame is to put obviously on him, but I'm sure Dallas wants to see more of him and of their defensemen if they want to actually stop Tampa from scoring so much, because everyone knows that that's just how they play. They just love to score goals. And so, second on Dallas is Tyler Seguin. So I didn't put Tyler Seguin on this list because he's been so incredible and you have to watch out for him because he's such an awesome player on the ice and blah blah blah. Yes, he is an awesome player, but he has been absolutely no good during this whole playoff run, this whole postseason run. It's just he's only managed 2 goals and 6 assists in this whole postseason compared to his 17 goals and 33 assists from the regular season. So yikes on bikes with that one. And that's why Grace was laughing.
What a comment.
It's true.
She has it written in the outline. It says yikes on bikes on paper.
I saw that. I'm like, where did Maryuri get that from?
Okay, if many of you don't know, most of my lingo comes from my sister. My sister's 11 years older than me. So growing up, when I was in elementary school, she was in high school. So just hearing all that lingo, it's kind of stuck with me.
I doubt that your sister ever said yikes on bikes.
I think she said it at least once. But either way, a lot of my lingo comes from her. So I owe her my very awesome funny language. But yes, it is yikes on bikes. Come on, 2 goals and 6 assists in this whole postseason.
Yeah, that is really bad.
That's awful.
That's
we're
good.
not saying that Tyler Seguin is a bad player because like Maryuri said, he put up great points in the regular season, and in his career playoffs, in 85 games played, he has 13 goals, 27 assists combined for 40 points. So he can produce in the playoffs. It's just this year something is not clicking, and in order for Dallas to keep up with Tampa or to beat Tampa, they need players like him that are big to step up and to start producing, because now you've seen, you have guys like Miro Heiskanen who are making up for the lack of offense for Dallas, when you should be having guys like Tyler Seguin stepping up and filling that void. Although like we said, we were going to say this a lot, Dallas is a great team, but he needs to step up.
I just think going into it, Tyler Seguin was the be-all, end-all for Dallas, or one of them anyway.
Yeah.
So the fact that there's only 2 goals there kind of hurts my heart a little bit. What?
Yeah,
what is that?
It's it sucks to see, because I think everybody knows that he is a great player, and he's been a great player for Dallas. Dallas has many offensive threats like Jamie Benn. Now they have Joe Pavelski. They have just so many great defensemen, and Tyler Seguin is obviously one of the better known forwards, one of their star players in the league. And so for him not to be producing as he should be is very disappointing. I wonder why. Maybe you can blame it on the big break that they had. Maybe he wasn't training as much. Who knows? Maybe he just got out of it, because like I said before everything happened, he was producing like he usually does. He was probably on pace to make whatever, maybe 30 goals, whatever, his usual. But for him to come back and just get 2 goals and 6 assists and basically disappear, that's very, very disappointing. And like Alessia said, thankfully Dallas has other stars on their defensive line, which is absolutely crazy, but to actually make up for that, because Miro Heiskanen has been absolutely incredible, and he's the next person we're going to be talking about. But before we get there, I think once again, it's just Tyler Seguin has to find his rhythm, or else I think Dallas will fall back a little bit. They can't just completely rely on their defensemen, because at the end of the day, they're defensemen. They have to be defensemen first before they can actually act as a forward, if that makes any sense. So we're gonna move on to Mr. Miro Heiskanen. I love saying his name because it's very fun. But he has 5 goals and 18 assists in this postseason, which is absolutely incredible. We I think last episode is when we spoke about Dallas's defensive line. You know, we had Klingberg and we also had Alessia. You know, he wasn't producing a lot of goals, but he was on the ice, you know, helping out with other goals and helping avoid goals. So Heiskanen has been a very integral part of this team. He's still really young, so he still has so much more in him, like over the next couple of years, but he's really proven himself in this series.
Yeah, I think it's really cool to see a young defenseman. I think we've said this like 3 or 4 times now, to see a young defenseman like him leading the team in points in the playoffs. And when you look at who's leading in points, they're both defensemen. You have Heiskanen and then you have Klingberg right underneath him. So I think Heiskanen has 24 points, Klingberg 19. And he's making up, like we said, for the lack of offense sometimes in the games for Dallas. But for me, Dallas shouldn't be relying on a defender like him. They should be looking to guys like Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin, and Alexander Radulov to start producing offensively. And right now, it's like, even when you look on defense, it shouldn't be just him holding his own in front of Hudobin. It should be guys like we've seen Alexiak and Klingberg doing their part as well. So I think he's been great.
I just did quick math, so I wanna say it because it's in my head now, and I'm really proud of it. So Miro Heiskanen has 3 times the points as Tyler Seguin.
That's insane. If you
Marjorie's
think about
not
it.
impressed with my quick math.
Because
I'm impressed with it.
Thank you.
And it is insane. Like it's unfortunate that Sagan can't be the player that everybody, you know, knows him to be. And like Alessia said, once again, Dallas cannot rely purely on their defensemen to actually act as their forwards. I think you can only ever do that, or you can only ever really truly appreciate when your defensemen are producing so well offensively, is when your whole team is producing really great. So when your forwards are producing what they should be and then everybody's playing great, it's always great to have that extra layer of offensive threat that comes for your defensemen. But if your defensemen are acting like your forwards, then who's your defenseman?
I'm not saying Dallas hasn't been good offensively. I'm just saying that key players that should be doing their part need to step up. And we've seen guys even like Joel Kiviranta like come out of nowhere and make a difference for the team. So I'm just looking for superstars like Seguin to be like, okay, let's sit down, see what I have to improve on, because we need something to get going in order to beat Tampa, because like we've said before, they're absolute powerhouse of a team this year.
Exactly.
So let's put a pin in that and talk about my math.
We love doing math in the mornings.
It was so good. I'm so proud. I just woke up. It's incredible.
When was the last time you took a math class?
Oh, good Lord. The fall semester of grade 12. So 2 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
Was my last math class, and I
actually
butchered it.
We did some math and marketing.
Yeah, that was not fun math though.
I did. Marjorie didn't because she forgot her calculator.
Okay, I used my brain though, and I used the classic pencil on paper, did my multiplication, cross multiplication, and
How'd that go for you?
Probably didn't get the right answer, but I tried my best. Let me tell you, I did calculus in grade 12. You know, that's not simple math, so my brain is fried from that year. That's all I have to say. And so, moving on, we're going to move on to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Maybe we can do some more math with that team, even though there's not much math to be done.
So excited.
So key players to watch again. So, like Tyler Seguin, this is not a player that has been exceptional, hasn't even been on the ice at all. But we're going to talk about Captain Steven Stamkos. So he finally returned from injury after undergoing a core muscle surgery in early March. And then he scored on his first shot of the game. But then he left sometime in the first period. And then he returned a little bit after the start of the second period and stayed on the bench. And I don't think he really played that much. I don't
No, he didn't.
remember. And
I
so
think somebody, I can't remember, I saw a tweet. He came back to the bench. He went on the ice to test out his leg, but ultimately just didn't play anymore.
yeah, and so he only had 5 shifts with a 2:47. So with 2 minutes and 47 seconds of time on the ice, which is very, very little, especially for a centerman. And so now he's kind of uncertain for game 4. I don't know. I know that Tampa Bay really was, I don't know, rushing, but they were really, really wanting to have Stamkos back on the ice, especially for the final. But my thing is that Tampa has been so great offensively and then just been playing so great overall that I don't know what was the rush to get Stamkos back on the ice. I know that like it's because he's their captain, and like if they win the cup, like I'm sure they would want him to have some sort of participation within the playoff season, but I just don't think what was the point of rushing him. If anything, they could have brought him back for like game 5 where like there wouldn't be so much of a toll on him if they had a big lead on the series.
And that's what I was thinking. I'm like, the Tampa Bay Lightning, they can win without Steven Stamkos. They've come all this way without him. It's just kind of sad because Stamkos is such a good player. And I don't know if you guys saw Steve Dangle's tweet, and it just kind of put into perspective how much Steven Stamkos has gone through. Like I have the tweet out right here, and it's like how many injuries he's taken in like serious, like really good matchups. So like in the Olympics and the Stanley Cup Finals. It's sad. It's so sad to see, but at the same time, I think the Lightning can do it without him. There's no doubt.
Well, and it's like what you said. He scored on his first shot of the game. Like, that's just how good he is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is upsetting, but the Lightning have been without him this whole time. Like, it's not a big deal. It sucks. But like Alessia said, they can do it. I don't think it's a huge thing to worry about. I don't think he's going to be back for game 4. I doubt it, unless he like has some miracle recovery in
Some
the
miracle
next 2
hands
days.
work on him.
Yeah. But I don't think he'll be back because it doesn't make sense. If he can't play, if he just sits on the bench, why would you put him out there? Why would you make him struggle? Because I think that's just worse, especially for his mindset, to just be sitting there and not be doing anything rather than be off and not doing anything. Because then you have a legitimate reason to not play. But I don't know. I think it's like, yeah, it sucks, but it'll be cool to see Tampa do something without Steven Stamkos.
And we've already seen them do a lot without Steven Stamkos. So it's like they're not, if Steven Stamkos isn't playing in the next game, it's really not a big deal, like we said. Like obviously it would help them, but they've been just fine without him.
It's upsetting because I think everybody just loves Steven Stamkos. I think he's just one of those guys that is just insanely likable, and I think everybody just wants to see him be healthy and actually play a good full season and actually be able to win something with his team and say that he contributed to that season. Because I feel like whenever your team wins a cup and you were injured, you know, I think a lot of players are like, well, I really didn't win it. Like my team did, my teammates did, but you know, I wasn't really part of that. And so I think that's the sucky part of it.
That's my favorite thing about the Stanley Cup, though, is that when you see like a few months later, those players who just happened to be on the roster, but like weren't even in the same location as the team, but like technically they won a Stanley Cup, so they get a ring, and you're like, were you there?
That's why it sucks. And I understand why Tampa wanted Steven back so early, and like not early, but quickly, and like to get him into this finals. But it sucks that he had something did go on in game 3 to make him, you know, uncertain for game 4. And like we said, he probably won't play game 4. I don't think they'll want to risk it even more. But like Alessia said, and like we keep on reiterating, Tampa can do it. I think that's just basically them solidifying the fact that they are a great team, even without one of their star players, even though they have various star players on that team. But without your captain, and when you're able to play such a great game without someone like Stamkos, I think it just solidifies your team as one of, the great teams of that season, or, of that run, whatever, so on. So it'll be exciting to see what happens. Let's hope everything's okay for him. Hopefully something too serious, and then we can see him hopefully on the ice sooner than later. So we're going to move on to Brayden Point, who has actually been very, very good for the Tampa Bay Lightning. He has 10 goals, 16 assists in this postseason, which is great. And so it was a difficult last series for him against the Islanders because he did sustain a little bit of an injury. So he was in and out of games in that matchup. But he has managed to get 2 goals and 1 assist over the last 3 games against Dallas, and he has stepped up during Stamkos' absence. So he's kind of filled that role, filled that void of, Stamkos' scoring ability. So I think Brayden Point has been really amazing for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and obviously one of their key players.
And that's really good for him because he's like, with Stamkos out, he's managed to kind of make more of a name for himself because everybody already knew who Brayden Point was. Mm-hmm. But now he's kind of like cemented that for everybody that he is that good.
Yeah, and for me, watching Tampa, he was like one of the few players I kept my eyes on because he's just been that good. And for both teams, for both Dallas and Tampa, they've had some amazing players that have been great, who have been the reason why they've come so far. And I look at Brayden Point and I just see him at the top of the list to be awarded the Conn Smythe Trophy just for how great he's been with Tampa.
Yeah, he's been absolutely incredible for them. He, like Grace said, he's just solidifying the fact of how great of a player he is. And yeah, again, it's going to be hard for Dallas to kind of keep him contained because he obviously knows how to find the net, and he obviously can make those plays in order to get other players to score their goals. So Dallas obviously has to kind of, keep him contained, keep him away from the net, and just, double up on him, kind of essentially, just not giving him enough room to actually make those plays in order for Dallas to stay alive in this series. And so lastly, we have Mr. Nikita Kucherov. I think everybody always knows that Kucherov is just an amazing player. I don't think there's anything else we can really say there. He's managed to get 6 goals, 22 assists.
22 assists is insane.
In this postseason alone, which is crazy. Yeah. For him to be such a playmaker and be able to get all those assists, because they have played against pretty good teams, but like to be able to get so much is insane. And now he has 4 points over the last 3 games. And so, like I said, always finds a way to score. A very big problem for Dallas because you don't want him, just like Brayden Point, you don't want him on the ice being able to make up those plays and get the puck past Khudobin.
Yeah, he's also leading the league and his team in points in the playoffs with 30. So he's just been one of the highlights of this year's playoffs as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Kucherov, I think whenever you hear that name, you're just like, yep.
Yeah. For Dallas, they just need to find a way to shut him down, and which is going to be hard.
It is going to be very hard. Like we keep on saying, this show is literally us saying how good Tampa Bay's offense is and how great Dallas's defense is, and then them basically just fighting each other to make sure neither one stops them and neither one goes through. It's just a good back and forth. I really enjoy this matchup, honestly. But we're going to speak more about that very shortly. We're going to go into now our next segment, which I hope many of you love. We love it over here. It's our very controversial way I hope you
which
guys
stands for.
I hope you guys liked how I
You
said
don't have
that.
to say what it stands for.
You
That's
already
the point
know.
of the way.
You already know what it stands for, but if you
It's like,
are
oh, no, Alessia and I have beef.
why?
Because she called it the question of the week in a post the other day.
No.
And I was like, Alessia, that's not allowed. I understand that
I'll
you don't
change
love
it.
the way.
No, it's not that I don't love it. It's just
I
wording.
get it. I really wish that you would just love it because it's so good.
It's perfect. It's like the way. You know.
It's the way to our next
The-
segment.
Oh, that's perfect. I love that.
See,
Either way,
look at this.
if you're a newbie and you don't know what our beautiful way is, it's the weekly audience engagement. And so,
Grace's face.
okay,
Pain.
I'm proud of the name.
I hate that this is on my mind so much.
I'm proud of the name I gave this segment. I worked very hard, and this name I think took me about 20 minutes because my brain could not think of anything else. I was like, question of the week sounds too plain. This one sounds sophisticated yet new.
Different.
Exactly. Either way. Eventually, I think we'll either stick with the way or maybe hire a marketer to figure this stuff out for us. But our way is, which team will win the Stanley Cup? What a surprise question there. Were you guys surprised by the question?
Oh, 100%. I had no idea.
Right? Such a great, great question. So, Alessia, if you want to give us the results.
The results are actually like decently close. So for those of you who voted on Instagram, the results were Tampa with 59%, Dallas with 41%. And then on Twitter, similar results, Tampa 54%, Dallas 46%.
Yeah, like, I mean, I voted Tampa just because a couple of episodes ago when we were all making predictions, I said Tampa, so I'm going to stick with Tampa. What did you guys vote?
I said Tampa, but my mom thinks Dallas. So I'm a little bit edged towards Dallas. She made a really good point over FaceTime the other day.
I didn't
Also
get
known
a
as-
chance
she
to
talked about
vote.
for 10 minutes.
I didn't get a chance to vote, so to
Nice.
compete for the results, but I was gonna say Tampa just because after my predictions, I'm like, okay, it has to be Tampa. There's no way.
She's like, Alessia can't afford to be wrong anymore.
I just
She
like
said- she said way too many of her predictions on the show, and she's like, I have to get one. I have to get one right.
it's just that like sometimes with predictions. So like I mentioned last year, I said Tampa and Dallas, and this year is Tampa and Dallas, and this year I said Colorado would win, and which Colorado was a lot of people's favorites, but it just
The
didn't.
pain on
happen.
Alessia's face right now, incredible.
I just really want to see McKinnon win a cup, and yeah,
Well, McKinnon was going to have to wait his turn.
hopefully that's next year. But
I mean, okay, I get why people choose Dallas. Like, I get it. They've been really great. You know, like I said a couple episodes ago, they're kind of an underdog team because you wouldn't have expected to choose them to be like one of your Stanley Cup final teams at the beginning of this regular season. What did they say? That they were like, what, 24th? 25th? What was it?
I believe they just made it into the playoffs. Like they weren't
Yeah.
like one of the bottom teams like Montreal, but they were like,
They were pretty low.
yeah.
And so you wouldn't have expected them to get as far as they have, especially playing against the teams that they have. They've played some great teams that have great players. So I see the attraction that Dallas has. You know, I understand. But Tampa Bay, I just feel like is just more complete. And I feel like at the end of the day, the more complete team, I mean, hopefully, it's not always the case, but hopefully they win. And so, as we've been saying, Dallas has been great, you know, defensively, and their defensemen have been producing, like, offensively, but...
Nice.
Thank you. I love the English language, but their forwards haven't been they've been good, but they haven't been like amazing like Tampa. I feel like Tampa just has more of an all-around team.
I think the thing with Tampa is that they do a great job pressuring the Dallas defense. I think it was the first goal last night from Kucherov. I think it could have been Braden Point who was pressuring Heiskanen.
I'm pretty sure it was.
I'm not too sure, but it led to Heiskanen trying to do kind of like a spin move, and it landed right on Kucherov's stick, and there was a goal there. So Tampa's doing a great job in kind of shutting down Dallas's defense. Now we need to see Dallas produce more offensively, and we all know that next game Dallas needs to win it for sure.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of that, how many games do you think this is going to go to?
I'm going to say 6.
I was leaning towards 6 too.
See, our
look at us.
Connected.
It was meant to be.
Okay.
I think if Dallas would have won yesterday, I would have said 7.
Yes,
But
I totally
now
agree.
I'm like, okay, this can be 6 for sure.
I'm going to say 6. So obviously 4-2 for Tampa. I'm going to say, even though Tampa has been putting quite of a clinic just scoring wise, you know, what was it with the last 2 games, right? Because Dallas won the very first game. My memory is just...
Well, here's what I think.
Okay, enlighten us.
We're going to have a too good to not have been planned final. So we're going to have that debate where, is the NHL staged that we have every year? Because Dallas is going to not win the next game. Tampa's going to go up, lead 3-1. And then they're going to be leading game 5 up until the third period. Dallas is going to battle back, win the game, all of a sudden come back from elimination, and then Tampa's going to slaughter them the next game.
Have we seen that
They
happen
won the Stanley Cup.
before?
Okay, well, I'm hoping it's not like that. Because I feel like that's so predictable, and I hate games that are like that. I would love to see like a good back and forth. I would love it if it were like Dallas wins the next game, so then it's 2-2, and then Tampa wins the next one, so it's 3-2, and then they eventually win them in the 6th game. But I'm not going to predict how many goals, because 1, I have never done that in my life. So I am not going to start now while we're on our show. And 2, that's just hard. I don't know how people do that and get that right.
Yeah, I think
Like-
when you put in like if you're doing a bracket on the NHL website, they ask once you get to the Stanley Cup final, they're like, how many goals in total will be scored?
I let
And
my
like-
dog pick every year.
I'm like, how do you and then you go by, okay, well, how many goals does each team average in a
Yeah.
game? And you try and figure it out, but like you don't
You
know.
never know.
Because just to say, you would think that by the time you get to the Stanley Cup Finals, the games would be really close. And we saw yesterday it was a very one-sided game, and Tampa just powered through. So
Like-
it's hard.
We've seen Tampa have massive leads. It's like, especially in that game against Boston when they won 7-1. So I think it's safe to say that you can't really ever predict how many goals. I think it'd be kind of awesome if I could have that ability. I would win lots of money, because God knows I think we all need it at this moment.
Help us.
Being university students. But I think 6 games. And if it is not 6 games, I will cry. Because I need my predictions to be
It was
right.
really anticlimactic.
Well, what else can we say? Come on. This series is pretty much like already, I don't know. Like I said, like, it's a good back and forth, but I can't see in my head Dallas winning. Like, I feel like that would take...
I can't see those green jerseys holding up a trophy.
No. In my head,
Not
that's really
happening.
what I imagined right now. like them like lifting up the cup and like celebrating and like seeing Tampa all sad.
It would be different, definitely different to see. But I think it's just like it's Tampa's time.
If they do
It's their
win,
time
though,
right now.
then the wraparound jank is alive and well, and we have to get T-shirts.
Do we need to like ask like someone to come in and like sage our homes or something to kind of stop that jinx? Like, what do we do in that situation?
Then they'd have to sage the Allen slate too. It happened there.
Okay, well, we weren't making any predictions.
It's just
then.
us. It's just our energy.
Hey, I have a good, what's it called? Aura?
I'm chaotic, so I'm not surprised.
Whatever color is mellow, I think that's what I am right now.
Oh my gosh.
I hope so.
One of my friends told me once that I'm orange in her mind, and it was like the most chaotic color to be, and I was like, nice.
It's so
Right.
funny because I was going to say that you were orange.
Get out of here.
I was going to say, you seem orange to me, even though I have no idea what the colors mean.
I always feel very orange, so it makes sense.
I feel very like maybe yellow or blue, but blue
What
sounds
these
sad.
stand for? Okay, we're
Let's get back on track here. We always do this.
the wraparound spin-off is us talking about our auras.
Every
wraparound
show.
is-
Every show we're like, okay, we're gonna time this to 45 minutes, and then it's like an hour and a half, and we're like, oh well.
It's
That's
just
fine.
us talking. It's like half of it is hockey, half of it is like nonsense.
Okay, so the schedule for games. Tomorrow, Friday, Tampa and Dallas play at 8, and then they play again on Saturday. And then if they need a game, that'd be their
Six.
game 6? Yeah.
The
that-
Saturday would be their game 6.
No. Monday would be their game 6.
Mm.
So they're going to play games 4 and 5 back to back, which doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever.
Weird.
That's what I was gonna say.
And then game 6 will be on Monday, and if needed, game 7 will be on Wednesday.
So, good news is that next week
By the time we see you all again,
We will know
have
it.
a winner. So,
Exactly.
you can finally see if the jinx is broken, if we finally are back. We're finally on the good side of the hockey gods once again. My goodness. It's a short episode, but it's been a long week. I'm sorry.
Bear with us.
Bear with us,
yeah.
please.
So now you get to be excited. This is our Stanley Cup special, and then we'll probably have a draft special, and then we're gonna disappear for 6 years, and then we'll come back with
a
more
whole
specials.
For season 3.
items. Exactly. So there's lots to look forward to, lots more specials. Like I said, this is the first of many, which is very exciting for us. This is I guess one of our first big goals that we've met, I guess, to be able to produce so many shows for you guys and have a special. It's always exciting to make special shows and just dedicate these things. So it'll be exciting what next week brings us. And so we'll see you soon, and you'll hear from us soon. So keep your sticks on the ice.
And your
And
heels on the dance floor.